I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for point of view.
All right, how y'all doing out there tonight? You know, I miss you when we're not talking. Yeah, I do. All right, tonight's episode
I don't care what's happened in Iran, North Korea, South China Sea, with China, with Mosul, with Syria. I'm sorry. My heart isn't there tonight, and so I'm not covering it tonight. And I know I haven't been with you as much this week as I normally am. But today, I know many of you have heard me many times calling out Scott Harvath on Twitter. Well, that was his Twitter alias. His real name was Sergeant Harry O'Hara. He was a retired NYPD sergeant battling stage 4 esophageal cancer. And it was a gut punch today when I found out he has lost that fight. That is the only thing I could think of all day since I got the news. I couldn't even begin to comprehend how to move on with my regular show, just not tonight. I'll be back on Monday. Don't worry, we'll be back with all the usual stories. Tonight is Scott Harvath or Sergeant Terry O'Hara's night. And no, it's not just going to be me jabbering about him all night. I did a little research and found a couple of videos he did early on in his fight. And we will be ending tonight with taps. In fact, the only commercials you're going to hear tonight were the ones I played at the beginning. And when I'm done discussing Sergeant Terry O'Hara, I am calling it for the night. Because quite frankly, none of the rest of it seems to matter tonight. Not tonight. All right. I've got some audio clips. Let's see if I've got them queued up properly.
Do me a favor, get on those bikes and stay in the fight. Don't quit. None of the other cancer patients have. Do it. Thank you.
That was him when he was part of a Cycle for Life thing that was part of spinning. I can't tell you how much his tweets and the couple of interactions I had online meant to me. I tried several times to get him to call in and be a guest live on air, or even pre-recorded. Now, my simple little tribute to Scott Harvath, aka Sergeant Terry O'Hara, is this. I'm going to let him, with the words that he left behind, tell you his fight. I've got some printed, I've got some recorded. Now, the other thing I'm going to be doing, I will be here at my computer, and we are putting up a special tribute page to Scott Harvath, aka Sergeant Terry O'Hara, with audio tributes. If you would like to be part of this, and today's date is March 10th, please, on March 10th, I will be here until midnight. If you catch this after this and you'd like to add a tribute, and I know many of you listen, via podcast or on demand, then hit me up on Twitter. All you have to do is tag me at Jesse's POV. I will make time. I will make the time to record your words. This man did not give up. He fought with everything he had. Let's hear a little bit more from him.
Hey everybody, Terry O'Hara. I'm down here at Cycle for Survival with Healthio360.com. Great event here today. The energy is absolutely insane. The event is specifically for rare cancers, funding, and research. There's probably about 800 people here today, spinning, cycling, telling stories of survival and hope. And part of that, hope in the stories is Healthio360.com. It's the place that you can come and find support, find peers, find somebody that has what you have and that's been through what you're going to go through. It's all about support. It's all about caring and staying in the fight.
Now, I got to tell you a little inside baseball story. I don't know how many of you know this. I had injured my right hand. For most people, yeah, I'm right-handed, but for most people it's a minor inconvenience. I fell out of my wheelchair. Yes, I'm a wheelchair user. I fell out of my wheelchair taking out the trash and came down on my right pinky knuckle. And your right pinky knuckle isn't meant to support all your body weight. So I had a very small hairline fracture. My arm was put in a cast. How do you use a wheelchair? A manual one? With just your left hand? So I've DM'd a little bit with Scott Harvath, aka Terry. And you know what? He was concerned about me. Everything this man was going through. He was fighting cancer. And he was worried about my little boo-boo. And I can't tell you how much him taking the 30-45 seconds he took to ask about me meant to me. And it meant a great deal. And I know I'm not the only one that's interacted with him. I may have gotten this started on KLRNRadio, but I'm not the only show host that has done shout-outs. And I'm going to be going back through those shows, finding those shout-outs, and putting them on a memorial page. Now, I will, if you want to participate in our little submit your words to the Scott Harvath, aka Sergeant Terry O'Hara tribute page. I'm making it as easy as I can. All you have to do, you got a phone. Everybody's got a phone. You pick up that phone. You dial 405-200-1715. I don't care if you do it now or 3 hours from now. I'll be here until midnight. I will be at this computer until midnight tonight. Now, you catch this on Memorex, and you want to add your words. You catch this on podcasts. You catch this later, and you want to add your words. All you do, go to Twitter, and if you don't have Twitter, shoot me an email, jessiespov@KLRNRadio. All right? You shoot me an email. And I will schedule the time with you. I will take time out of my life to help you record those words. Even if you never met him, he's such an amazing man. If you only knew him through social media, if you served with him, he was a 9/11 first responder, which contributed to his esophageal cancer, as you will learn. And I'm sorry, I'm having trouble keeping it together tonight. And I apologize for that, but I couldn't let tonight go. And I've just been informed. Wow. Gotta love her. Station manager Ann just set up a special email account so it doesn't get lost in amongst everything else. You want to, if you're not on Twitter and you can't either reach out to the station or to me on Twitter. Station Manager Ann has just set up a special email account. It's called We Support at KLRNRadio. It's We Support at KLRNRadio. So she's done that. I was just typing a quick thank you for her. And he was the most amazing, no matter what he was going through. No matter what. He was a fighter. Now, I got some of his words here for you. And I'm going to play them and let him do some of the talking.
Mine wasn't as sudden, I guess, or unexpected, because I got diagnosed with something called Barrett's esophagus from 9/11 back in 2006.
So, he was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus in 2006 because of what he did to save lives on 9/11.
So I've been scoped and monitored since 2006 because Barrett's esophagus leads to esophageal adenocarcinoma.
Basically, the disease he was diagnosed with leads to esophageal cancer.
Usually takes years and years and years for the changes to take place, different stages of dysplasia. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, mine went from Barrett's esophagus to stage 3 esophageal cancer in a matter of about 5 months.
All right, I want you to pay close attention to the date that's coming up in the next clip.
So now you were a 9/11 first responder.
Yes.
And you get diagnosed, and along the way, so what day exactly was your diagnosis?
April 19th of this year, 2015.
Yeah, that's not a day you're going to forget.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
April 19th, 2015 was the date this man was diagnosed. Today is March 10th, 2017. He fought hard. But he did not, unfortunately, beat the odds. All right, let's go with one more clip.
I was originally diagnosed because I had all my scope work done out in Stony Brook. When I was diagnosed, they told me straight out, you don't need us anymore, you need Sloan Kettering.
Mm-hmm. He was sent to one of the best cancer treatment facilities in the nation. All right, let's take another listen to a little bit of his cycle for life.
Been through what you're going to go through. It's all about support, it's all about caring and staying in the fight. I've worked real hard. I never quit. I stayed in the fight, just like every single other name that I mentioned. All you people in the room, you guys are inspiring because you just stay in the fight, and that's what it's all about. That's what I'm doing.
He fought up until the very end. And I had a very bad feeling when February 25th he mentioned that he was back in the hospital for serious cancer issues. Then his last tweet on his @ScottHarvath account was March 2nd. Let's keep listening.
And I'm not just fighting for me or all you other people. There's 3 other people that I'm fighting for. It's my beautiful wife, Denise, my daughter, Addison, and my son, Jackson. Those are the 3 main reasons that I'm here fighting today. And you guys are helping me fight and live for my wife and my kids. Everything that you guys are doing here today is going to help me. It's going to help other people. It is going to hopefully eventually stop some guy from having to tell his 6-year-old son that he's got esophageal cancer. We don't want this to happen anymore. And I thank you, you cancer warriors, for coming here today and helping save lives.
He was amazing. Now, I only knew him through social media.
Terry O'Hara for HealthyO360.com.
And I did some research in the hours since I found out that he passed. And it's not just me that said he was amazing. I've got other people's words that said it too. And I'm going to read parts of this while I try and pull it together. And I'm looking for the date on this. 2011 Medal Day ceremony. The mayor and police commissioner were joined by family members and honorees at the ceremony at One Police Plaza. Among those awarded the Police Combat Cross were 2 detectives who survived multiple gunshot wounds. Detective Ricardo Ramirez. I'm not going into what it said. But anyway, also see what it says. All right. Distinguished Service Medal, conferred upon the family member of a member of the service who succumbed to illness associated with an exceptional duty performed with great responsibility under unusual hazard or demand. 10 members of the service who succumbed to illness contracted following the rescue and recovery efforts in the aftermath of September 11th received the Distinguished Service Medal. Now, Terry didn't get that one. The department's second highest award, bestowed for extraordinary acts of heroism while engaged in personal struggle with an armed adversary under circumstances of imminent personal hazard. 30 members of the service, including 5 retirees, received the Police Combat Cross, including Sergeant Terrence O'Hara. Yes, Sergeant Terrence O'Hara. He received the second highest award. Now, he had a hashtag. It was called Team Terry Strong. It was all over Twitter. So I went there. And there are so many tributes to him. It is amazing. And he loved his Tito's lemonade. So if you happen to have the Tito's handy, or Tito's vodka with lemonade. So if you happen to have Tito's or vodka tonight, raise a glass. He'd want you to celebrate his life. And people from Brad Meltzer to Brad Thor have reached out on social media to this man. In fact, for those of you who don't read Brad Thor's books, let me tell you a little bit of inside baseball because I am a Brad Thor fan. I read all his books. His lead character's name is Scott Harvath, except Scott in the book is S-C-O-T, Harvath, and Terry used S-C-O-T-T. Now, when you get a book signed by Brad Thor, if you don't ask for a custom greeting or anything special, he will sign it, "Stay in the fight." Well, that exemplifies what Terry O'Hara did. He stayed in the fight. From word 1 to word 21. He stayed in the fight. He was strong. Unfortunately, in this case, it wasn't enough. Let's listen to some more words from Terry.
So the 9/11 Health Foundation got me into Sloan Kettering fairly quickly. There was about a 7 to 8 day break in between diagnosis and going to meet my surgeon for the first time, which was the worst 8 days of my life. Mm-hmm. You couldn't imagine what's running through your head. But once I got to Sloan Kettering and met with a professional, these are the best doctors in the world for this disease. They do put you at ease, even though this is...
Hang on, let me get the rest of that.
A very deadly disease where the statistics are not on your side. They're very hopeful, and they're treating me with curative intent, not palliative. They're not just trying to make me feel a little bit better. They're going to try and cure me. Mm-hmm. So I did the same thing as Mark. I went through the chemo, the first 2 types of chemo that they gave me. My cancer did not respond to because I have a different type of a cell called signet ring cell, which is very chemo and radiation resistant. So they switched up my protocol to 2 different types of chemo. I responded a little bit better to that. There was nothing else to switch me to, so we had to just continue it. They also added in daily radiation, and 2 weeks before surgery, they did a PET scan. They found out that the tumor responded very well, which was kind of shocking to this treatment. I had the surgery, the same type of surgery as Mark, the Ivor Lewis esophagectomy. They took 2/3 of my stomach, 2/3 of my esophagus, and about 1/3 of my stomach.
Yes, they took 2/3 of this man's esophagus out, and 1/3 of his stomach, and yet he was being strong for all of us? Come on. If that isn't strength, I don't know what is.
They relocated my stomach from its normal location to just above my heart, and it's about the size of my fist now.
So, Terry, you had mentioned that you had about 8 days between the first hospital and getting into Memorial Sloan Kettering. So what did you do during those 8 days?
Those 8 days were the worst 8 days of my life, and I've been through some pretty horrendous things in my short life. There was a lot of crying, a lot of trying to reassure my wife that everything was going to be fine when I did not know. I didn't have any information. I was relying on Google, which is the worst source of information for looking up any type of medical information about yourself, because it always ends in death. So don't Google anything. Other things, I I started planning for the future. I started making sure all of my affairs were in order. I started writing letters to my wife and 2 children for the next 20 years for them to open up on birthdays, because once I saw the statistics of this disease, I was convinced this is the end. So yeah, the first 8 days were the worst, but once I got to Sloan Kettering and met with the professionals and got their plan for me, which was curative, my mindset changed and I went into fight mode, and I just pressed on and said, this is not going to beat me. It doesn't stand a chance.
Now, I'm going to replay part of that audio.
Their plan for me, which was curative, my mindset changed and I went into fight mode, and I just pressed on and said, this is not going to beat me. It doesn't stand a chance.
Now, he did ultimately, unfortunately, lose his battle. But he fought. And he fought hard.
Now, Mark, you kind of had a little interest.
Okay. We're going to skip over. There was another person in this interview, and I'm skipping over his parts. If you want to hear the whole thing, you can Google it. It's on Health0360. Let me see what this is.
I didn't go to Google. I knew.
That was Mark talking, the other man in the interview. And I'm not going to play the whole interview because it is 30-some minutes long. Let's see who this is.
I had my wife with me and my twin brother. And
okay, let's back this up a little bit. I found Terry again. Unfortunately, I did not have time to break this all down.
I'm a pretty strong guy. I'm a 9/11 first responder. I've seen it all. I'm going to get through this. And now you're sitting with your medical team. What's going through your mind?
That's when it gets real for the first time. I had my wife with me and my twin brother. And they were taking it much worse than I was, because this is when I was turning the corner and going into fight mode. They were still incredibly worried about the statistics and the treatment, what's it going to do to me. My wife was very worried about the children, but we took a play out of Mark's playbook. We didn't tell our children. My children still do not know to this day. They think I had a hernia operation 35 days ago.
Okay, so this was recorded 35 days after his surgery. Now, he did eventually tell his kids. So for those of you listening, he did eventually tell his kids. He said he came out on Twitter saying it was one of the hardest things he had to do.
But being at Sloan Kettering, incredibly reassuring. There's no other way to put it. They're the best medical team in the world for this type of cancer. You're in the best hands possible. But like you said before, you have to do your part. You have 2 options here. You can either lay down and cry, or you can stand up and fight. And standing up and fight is all I've ever done in my life. To me, there was no other option. I need to win. And I need to win. It's not for me. I have a wife, 2 children, and a large family. And I don't want to be responsible for the greatest sadness and pain that they might experience in their life. So I refuse to contribute to any type of decline in my health. So if my job is mental, I'm doing it. And Sloan Kettering helped me both medically and mentally prepare for this.
So Terry, you have a large family, and Mark, we know you have a rather large family as well. How did you guys go about telling your families as a whole, not just your wife and your kids, but the extended family?
I kind of took it on a case-by-case basis. Everyone has a...
All right, we're going to go back to that in just a minute. But this man, no matter what was going on in his life, he became a patient advocate and a support network for others facing this. He was amazing. And he fought the fight. He refused to give up. Now, there's two hashtags, Team Terry Strong and Terry Strong. And you can go to Twitter and put in either one of those. And people from Brad Thor to his twin brother have reached out. And Brad Meltzer's said a few things. And many people have come out of the woodwork to support this man. I can't tell you enough how amazing the few interactions I had was. He was never down. He was never worried about himself. I'm going to read you a few of the tweets under the hashtag Team Terry Strong. In memory of cancer warrior and 9/11 hero Terry O'Hara. Team Terry Strong, hashtag NYPD Blue, hashtag Never Forget. And it's a picture of a challenge coin they had made with his symbol, which was kind of a Celtic helmet type thing. And it's gorgeous. And then there's one from Ryan the Rapologist. And he had a t-shirt that was made up with the same helmet and coffee mugs and challenge coins. The watch is ours now. Hashtag Team Terry Strong. Sean Purnell, who is a combat veteran and co-founder of American Warrior Inside and a New York Times best-selling author, put out, "Just heard the news, a crushing blow for sure. Terry was an inspiration for me and so many others. He stayed in the fight until the very end." Terry, we've got the fight from here. Rest easy, my friend. You're missed far more than you know. Hashtag Team Terry Strong. And that was from Brian the Rapologist and retweeted by David Debisiak. Eric Bishop. Terry O'Hara was a husband, a father, and friend to many. A hero who touched lives. We've got it from here, warrior. Rest in peace, brother. Hashtag Team Terry Strong. Another one from Ryan the Rapologist. And it also shows a quote from Scott Harvath, at Scott Harvath, which was Terry's Twitter handle. It says, "Terry, we got the fight from here. Rest easy, my friend. You're missed far more than you know. Hashtag Team Terry Strong." And Scott Harvath had echoed those same words. "My friend is gone. Cancer warrior Chuck F., USMC and 9/11 responder. Esophageal cancer took him. He fought till his last breath. Miss you, Chuck. Rest easy now, Chuck. I've got the fight from here." And that was back in January. And there's other people putting up tributes and pictures. "Terry is a true hero and warrior and did not deserve this cruel fate. Hashtag Team Terry Strong. His legacy will live on." At Scott Harvath, a.k.a. Terry O'Hara, has been a warrior, poet, and brother. Pray for him in what he's proving to be the final hours of a courageous fight. That was put out by his twin brother, Matthew O'Hara. And there's prayers going out from all over the nation for his family. I mean, the number of tweets under this is insane. It really is. There's so many of them. I can't read them all. But we are going to go back and listen to a little bit more of Terry's words. Because he wanted you to stay in the fight too, no matter what your battle is. And I want you to hear that message.
I kind of took it on a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
this
has
was telling his family.
Way that they're going to receive this information. So some things you had to sugarcoat. Other people, you were able to tell them straight out exactly what's going on, what you're going to have to go through. Of course, the advice to everyone was, do not Google this, because you're going to find some very horrifying statistics, which I believe not a lot of us fit into. These statistics are based on the average age of 72-year-old patients who don't, I guess, respond as well to the chemo, and the surgery is a little more difficult for them. So I tried to tell the family that, don't believe the statistics because I don't believe they apply to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Mark, how did you talk to your
Okay, we're back to Mark, so I'm going to fast forward through part of the interview. Like I said, I don't have this broken down as well as I'd like.
Consider him part of your medical team.
Absolutely.
Alright, I'm still fast forwarding through the interview. This show's a little bit challenging.
They're there to get help.
Yeah.
The scheduling was slightly different, yes.
Slightly different. But did you have somebody like a Nick involved in your care team that really was?
Yes, I did. It wasn't just one person.
Alright, Nick is the greeter at Sloan Kettering. He gives hugs, he's supportive, he's bright, he's cheerful, and he tries to put everybody at ease.
Every single employee, nurse, receptionist, doctors, every single person had a smile on their face. It was welcoming. It was reassuring. There was no negativity at all, and that is tremendous. You need that. You need that when you're in a place that is so serious, and their job is to literally save your life, but they're walking around with smiles on their face. It's priceless, and it's a boost for you. You need that. If you don't even know it at the time, you'll know it later on. You need it. But that's also why I have him. Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to start to talk about. That.
All right, they're going into the patient advocacy program. I'm going to fast forward through some of this. Let's see who's talking here.
Well, I certainly
that's Mark. Mark, if you catch wind of this, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you.
He has that effect on people.
He does. I've called him this giant tsunami of positive energy, or my skinny white Buddha. I actually needed him. He's the yin to my yang. I'm a very aggressive, very type A type personality, and he's the guy that kind of comes in and knocks me down a little bit, brings me back down to where I should be, takes the stress out, shows me how to deal with things in a different way. Opened my eyes to new things, meditations and herbal supplements,
little bit. We even passed a few quotes back and forth. That
I
I love Dr. Seuss, and Dr. Seuss always,
he sent me a good one.
Yeah, which one was that? You remember?
Troubles.
Troubles. That's right.
So, Mark, I
Back to Mark. So we're going to fast forward because, like I said, this interview is 35 minutes, and I have 10 minutes left. Let me find. There's one part I really want to get to.
Hitting every light that was green.
That's Mark's green light story. It's also fantastic, but it's not the focus for tonight.
A lot for that piece of information.
I could.
All right, that's them joking and babbling.
But that's what we're both here for each other for everything.
Yeah. Our community is made up of all different kinds of people with all different kinds of conditions and caregivers. We have a very large cancer community at Healthio 360.
And I did some sniffing about Healthio 360. They're a very supportive community, and they have many different kinds. Let's see who's talking here.
Love yourself.
That's Mark. Love you, Mark. We're moving on. One message from Scott Harvath I really want to find.
You don't want them there to try and...
Alright, hang on. I obviously went a little too far past where I needed to be.
You need to stay in the fight. And when I say that, I mean mentally. If you're not mentally in the fight, if you don't stay in the fight, you can't win. It's not possible. You need to be there. You need to be fighting. You need to do your part. Like we discussed before, the doctors do their part, the nutritionists, the nurses, they're going to do their part. You need to do your part. And that is just prepping your mind for battle. And that's exactly what this is. This is a fight. This is a war. This is a battle. And you need to focus. Keep yourself motivated. You have to be the biggest cheerleader is you. You have to lead the charge. And the rest of your support system will follow your lead. You don't want them there to try and just pick you up. You're going to need to be picked up at a few points, but you need to lead the charge. Yep. You have to stay in the fight, no matter what.
Both good points. You're both good friends.
Yep.
Yes.
Love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
But like I said, no matter what your battle, stay in the fight. Alright, I got a couple more things I want to read out. And then I am ending the show with taps tonight. And it's taking me a minute just to go through the pages of stuff I printed. And this was off a police chat forum called The Rant. And at NYPD Blue 1, BLEW 1, prayers are needed for Sergeant Terry O'Hara, who passed this morning after a long battle with 9/11 throat cancer. Please pray for him, his wife, and young children. It was an honor to have worked with you, Terry, even though it was a short time. Sergeant O'Hara was the recipient of the NYPD Combat Cross. Rest in peace, boss. Godspeed. The last 2 weeks has seen 3 to 4 who have died as a result of 9/11 exposure. America has no idea these brave warriors are dying. And that's from HAP, HAPD, on the same site. And as you all know, now, he wrote some blog posts. I don't have time to read them all. I'm going to pick a couple excerpts. Fast forward a year, it's September 10th, 2001. I was working a 4 to 12 shift. My team sergeant took off, so I had to work in uniform, driving the patrol car. We got a call for a car accident, immediately followed by more calls for a male shot at the same location. We arrive at a chaotic location, start to piece together a puzzle. Let's just say that driving after being shot multiple times with a 45 ends in disaster. I was stuck on a crime scene and was supposed to go home at 9 a.m. ... The radio crackled with a request for citywide mobilization to the World Trade Center. A plane crashing into the building. His wife, who he was dating at the time, was a student in Manhattan, and he couldn't get in touch with her until 8 p.m. She packed me extra food and clothes for all the long hours I was working at Ground Zero or regular police work in the following months. I, along with other responders, didn't get any breathing masks for quite a while, and we were exposed to a great deal of toxins. I started to develop health issues a few years later. It started with chronic sinus infections, asthma, and some heartburn. He was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus in 2007 and was prescribed meds to control the stomach acid. I was shot a few times on the job, and my career ended with a wrist injury during a shootout with a gang member. I started having quote-unquote issues right before I retired. I was angry, depressed, always on edge. I couldn't seek help while I was on the job, because if you tell them you need to talk about your problems, they immediately take your guns, transfer you to some cave-like office to watch video feeds from the housing projects. After I retired, I sought help from the World Trade Center Health Program. That's where I learned I had PTSD and was depressed. The next few years of my life sucked. I was robbed of the joys of a father and husband usually experiences. I was emotionally numb. I couldn't enjoy my wife or children. It was a battle every day. I won that battle. I eventually learned how to cope with PTSD and the other issues. I gained 45 pounds during the years I was severely affected by PTSD. I started eating healthy and doing light exercises the doctors told me to do. I was in great shape before my meltdown and health issues, and slowly began to regain the body of the warrior I once was. He couldn't run because of his lungs. He could only lift weights in a certain way because of his wrist injury. But he didn't let those limitations stop him, and he worked hard to get healthy. Enter the esophageal cancer. And you've heard most of the rest of the story. So, he even got the Celtic helmet tattooed on his arm, and underneath it said, "Still in the fight." It's a gorgeous picture. I'm going to post it with tonight's episode. Alright, folks. As I promised, we're ending tonight on taps. I do not have Amazing Grace with bagpipes. So taps is the best way I can come up with to honor this American hero. And just before I sign off and go to taps, because I will not speak again once I start taps, if you would like to record an audio tribute to Sergeant Terry O'Hara, aka at Scott Harvath, I will be at my computer to record your tribute until midnight tonight. And I will read out that information one more time. Let me just pull it up so I get it right, because my head's not all here. You can call 405-200-1715, or if you'd prefer, you can Skype KLRN Radio, all one word. You can also tag me in a tweet on Twitter, at Jesse's POV. Alright, folks. Thank you, Sergeant Terry O'Hara, or as I knew you, Scott Harvath. You are truly an American hero. We've got the fight from here. Rest easy, brother.